Okay, class. Today we're going to review figurative language, looking at the lyrics of Katy Perry's Firework. First, we'll start with simile. Simile is a figure of speech which involves a direct comparison, so you're comparing two things, comparing two unlike things more specifically, using the words like or as. So you're looking for those key words, like or as. Here's an example. Do you ever feel like a plastic bag? So she's asking, is there a comparison between you and a plastic bag? So in this case, you would be comparing yourself to a plastic bag using the word like. Notice I bolded like. That's the key word that makes it a simile. Another example, like a house of cards. Again, she's comparing you, asking a question. Do you ever feel like a house of cards? The word like is bolded, indicating that it is a simile. Alliteration. Repeated consonant sounds occurring at the beginning of words or within words. In this case, the consonant S is repeated. Notice the words six, scream, and seems. Personification is a figure of speech which gives the qualities of a person to either an animal, an object, or maybe even an idea, which is exactly what occurs in this case. The 4th of July owns the night. The 4th of July is a holiday, so it can't actually own anything as humans can. So that is an example of personification. Hyperbole, that's an exaggerated statement used to heighten effect. As you shoot across the sky, she's comparing you to a firework, but it's an exaggerated statement because you're not likely to shoot across the sky as a firework would. Personification. If you only knew what the future holds. The future cannot actually hold anything. It doesn't have hands. So again, we have an example of personification. Another example. Maybe you're the reason why all the doors are closed, so you can open one that leads you to the perfect road. It's indicating that a door can lead you somewhere, but a door can't actually do that. So another example of personification. A door cannot serve as your guide. Metaphor. Metaphor is a figure of speech which involves an implied comparison between two relatively unlike things using a form of be. The comparison is not announced by like or as. Okay, so here she's saying you are a firework. There is no like or as there, but she's making a comparison between you and a firework. So that would be a metaphor. Onomatopoeia. Now this is the use of words that mimic sounds. Boom, boom, boom. That's the sound that a firework makes when it explodes. Here you're naming the sound. Repetition. Now repetition, unlike alliteration, is actually repeating whole words for effect. So in this case, make them go oh 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 as you shoot across the sky. Make them go oh oh oh, and then you have come on, come on. You have a bunch of repetition in here. Year is repeated several times. Here's some more examples. Boom, 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 even brighter than the moon, moon, moon. Boom, boom, boom. So they keep repeating those words. That is repetition. Now here's your assignment. What we're going to do today is identify examples of figurative language in Hatchet, the book that we're currently reading. So you identify examples of metaphor, simile, alliteration, repetition, onomatopoeia, personification, and hyperbole. The activity is called Figurative Language in Hatchet, Feeding the Flame. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a matching game. With this matching game, I will give you a quote. You will have 4 different choices, 4 types of figurative language to choose from. If you drag the figurative language, like simile for example, or metaphor, into the flame, it should disappear. The flame should consume it, in effect. So, if you drag it into there and it bounces back, then it is incorrect. However, if you drag it into the flame and it disappears, you have the correct one. So I'll read the first one. The memory was like a knife cutting into him, slicing deep into him with hate. So which one of these do you think it is? Very good. It is a simile. Let's see if this works. And it disappeared. So we're off to a great start. Be asleep, his mind screamed at the pilot. Now I need a volunteer for this one. What do you think it is? His mind screamed. Focus on that particular part. No, it's not going to be onomatopoeia. Scream. A scream is a sound, but look at what they're doing. What are they comparing there? Very good. Excellent. It is personification because your mind cannot actually scream. He was alone. In the roaring plane with no pilot, he was alone. Now, what do you think is going on here? I need a volunteer. Excellent. It is repetition. Good job. Now, it is not alliteration because more than the first consonant is repeated. Entire words are repeated. He, was, and alone are repeated. So very good. Don't know, kid. The pilot's words were a hiss, barely audible. Another volunteer? Excellent. Onomatopoeia, because the word hiss is mimicking a sound. You hear the sound and you name it hiss. So very good. He closed his eyes and slept dreamless, deep and down. Now, which figure of speech do you think is being used here? Okay, very good. It is alliteration. You have dreamless, deep, and down. Both start with the letter D, so you have that consonant sound repeated. Very good. Okay, we have another example. He seemed more a machine than a man, an extension of the plane. The pilot seemed the same way, part of the plane, non-human. Okay, so what I'm asking here is which of these would go with that one? You need to ask yourself, what are they doing? Are they making a comparison? Are they giving human-like qualities to something? Or are they exaggerating? No, it's not hyperbole in this case. Now I can see where you got that because it's comparing, saying he's basically an extension of the plane. Yes, that is sort of an exaggerated statement. However, we're looking for what the primary thing they're doing is here. Oops, dragged it too far. Very good. Metaphor, exactly. Comparing a man to a machine or a plane more specifically. Besides, he had probably swallowed a ton of it while he was swimming out of the plane and getting to shore. So what's going on here? That's right. Very easy. Hyperbole. When you say something like a ton, you swallowed a ton, you're not actually swallowing a ton. That is an exaggerated statement. Okay, the pilot did not move except that his head rolled on a neck impossibly loose as the plane hit a small bit of turbulence. Okay, this one might be a little confusing, so you need to look at the last part. The plane hit a small bit of turbulence. Does that help? Oops. There you go. A small bit of turbulence. Very good. And it's personification because the plane can't actually hit someone. They don't have a fist. While it could run into something, it can't actually hit it. That's what you're looking for there. That one was a little harder. Okay, the plane fell into the wide place like a stone, and Brian eased back on the wheel and braced himself for the crash. What do you think it is in this case? Very good. Similarly, comparing the plane falling into the wide place like a stone. The plane is falling like a stone. Very good. Okay, now we're going to wrap it up. Tonight for your homework, you need to find at least 2 examples of each of the following figures of speech, the ones we covered today: metaphor, simile, personification, alliteration, repetition, hyperbole, and onomatopoeia. And here's an example. During the night, March doubled back and grabbed April by the scruff of the neck and flung it another week or two down the road. Now, what are they doing there? Exactly, personification. Because March and April can't actually do any of these things. You can't double back and they can't grab someone. Very good. Okay, that concludes our presentation. Thank you.